state of Vermont is known for many things: ice cream, cheddar cheese, fall foliage, and maple syrup, just to name a few. Maple trees in Vermont go together, but what would our Green Mountain state look like if they didn't, if there was a threat to Vermont's tree population? In 2011, the state accounted for 40% of syrup in the U.S. Every county in Vermont produces maple syrup, and it is estimated that there are around 2,000 maple syrup producers here. That comes out to more than 1 million gallons of syrup every year. With the introduction of the Asian Long-horned Beetle in nearby states, there could be new challenges ahead for Vermont's maples and the sugaring industry.
The Asian Long-horned Beetle is an insect. It belongs to a class of wood-boring insects, long-horned insects that eat trees. It lives in temperate climates, so that's why it's established well in parts of New England.
I first got into sugar making in high school. I went to Hanford Career Center, where as a student there I was able to go and work with a sugar maker and help him during his season. So from there my parents bought a small sugar works in 2009 and we started sugaring in the season of 2010. My father has done it as a kid with my grandfather and my uncle. Never to the scale that we do it now, but they've done it for quite a while. My name is Brian Heffernan. We're located in Huntington, Vermont.
It potentially could pose a significant threat to Vermont's forest. Vermont's forests are heavily made up of the host trees that the Asian Long-horned Beetle can survive on. And so sugar maple is one of our main species here in Vermont, and its preferred host food is sugar maple and other maples. And so if it does come to Vermont, it would find a lot of suitable host species. I'm Molly Claypack. I'm the Forest Pest Outreach Coordinator for UVM Extension. Our state is very forest-based. We have a lot of economic factors that depend on having healthy forests, from our sugar maple industry to our tourism industry, our leaf peeping, our ski areas all depend on having a beautiful landscape and healthy forests. So the impact that a pest like this could have would be dramatic.
We're currently operating on around 800 acres of land, all of which isn't tapped yet. So we spend a lot of time in the summer, maintaining and then adding new stuff. In grand spectrum, we're still pretty small. For Addison County, we're one of the larger sugar makers. But as far as like Franklin County, up in the Northeast Kingdom, we're still very small. There's a lot that we do year-round as far as maintenance. We try to be in the woods, every day, just thinning out brush, replacing tubing, just fixing things. There's always trees and stuff that fall down. We have to repair pipeline and keep everything up and ready to go. Basically, we go through, we tap the trees. Once the tree is tapped, then we kind of wait for the weather to come. From there, we'll turn on vacuum systems to pull vacuum on the tree to help produce more sap. And then, every day we're out in the woods checking for leaks, trying to make everything as tight and efficient as possible again. And then from there, it'll come down through our pipeline system into our extractors and dump into the tanks. From the tanks, it'll then go through a reverse osmosis machine, which will take water out of the sugar and it'll make it more sweet so we can boil it down faster. From there, it'll be boiled in the evaporator behind me and then filtered through a filter press and put into drums. Currently, right now, we're producing about 165 gallons of syrup an hour.
The thing that everyone can do is to stop moving firewood around. We need to change the culture in our society around moving firewood. We need to make buying and burning local firewood as natural as we've tried to make recycling or energy conservation. It's just not something we should do anymore. So buying and burning local firewood is the best thing that everyone can do. The next thing that everyone can do is to learn about the insect and learn what the signs and symptoms of the insect are. Because these insects are so hard to spot, they're small, and their signs are subtle until they've reached a critical mass, that if we can educate the public so we all know what the insect looks like and what they do to the trees, the better our chance to find an infestation as early as possible, so that we can detect it early, have a smaller population to deal with, and have a better chance at a successful eradication effort. So the bug itself is quite big, so that's great. So if you see an adult bug, that's an obvious first sign. But since the bug spends more than half of the year inside the tree, other things to look for are the feeding of the larvae inside the tree will stress the tree, and so it'll start looking unhealthy. The top branches will start to flag, the leaves will discolor to a yellow or red color before fall time, and then the upper branches will start to die. So if you see a tree that starts looking unhealthy, it's something to look out for. Also, these bugs, they eat a lot of wood, and so they create an immense amount of sawdust and frass, which is beetle poop. And so if you start noticing a lot of sawdust material building up in the branches and around the base of the tree, that's a really good sign that there might be something going on. Also, when the adults exit the tree, they chew a quite large exit hole. It's about the size of a dime, and it's perfectly round. And so if you see perfectly round holes in a tree, that might be an ALB. They actually look exactly like a sugar tap hole, but if you stick a pencil into the hole, if it goes in for more than ½ an inch, then it's not a tap hole. And also, an infestation tends to start at the top of the tree and then work its way down. So generally you'll see them at the top of the tree before they'll be down where a tap hole would be. It's
something that I love and enjoy to do. I like being in the outdoors and the peace and quiet that it brings. So it's definitely something I see doing the rest of my life. There's always a threat of a bad season. You know, the weather coming off wrong, things getting too warm too fast, or you know, just not getting the weather. There's wind storms, ice storms, you know, anything that can affect and destroy our woods, basically, because that's our livelihood. So anything that'll kind of interrupt that is definitely something that we fear, you know, as far as like diseases and insects and stuff like that. The Asian Long-horned Beetle, I feel, is definitely, you know, a threat and something that I feel we need to keep our eye out for. And it would obviously have a devastating effect on the sugaring industry as a whole. I don't really know at this point what we would do or what we could do, but I mean, we'd certainly do, you know, anything possible to protect what we have. It's not something I want to see disappear.
The Asian Long-horned Beetle is not creeping around our maple forests yet. Unfortunately, it is not far away, and we must do everything we can to help preserve Vermont's natural beauty and flavors.